Runners, with me! Charge!
Charge! Death to the enemy!
Oh no. So here is a bulk of the army printed and on display. All of this has been printed in 8mm scale, and I kind of prefer it a little over 6mm because like the size difference doesn't really have any impact on the game itself, but that 8mm just makes everything a little bit easier to see. Like you can highlight details a bit better. It just looks like a nicer model overall from a distance anyway. So here we have our Rhino transport blob for the Marines that I'll just show in a moment. They're just off camera. We've got our two sets of Predators. Predators with plasma cannons, Predators with like autocannons, and then we have a bike section, kind of outrider detachment. And these guys have got, let's see if it focuses. Yeah, here we go. These guys have got heavy bolters on the front, and they're a nice little fast, speedy detachment to have. So all of this I kind of talked about in my last video, but one of the things that I did mention was all the tactical marines that are going to ride in these rhinos, and they are all here. This is just one of the boards that I've got. There's 4 others just off camera, and I prep my little miniatures like this because it's so much easier to batch paint. I found that when I've been painting little, like, tiny models in the past, you can't do it model by model. It's just the amount of paint that you end up using, or, like, yeah, personally, I found it's just incredibly difficult. So batch painting is the way to go. And so I've got all these models lined up like this. And so what I'll do is I'll take, like, the base colour, go from left to right, take, like, I don't know, if I'm doing the bolters red, I'll paint all the red on left to right. I'll then do, like, helmet markings, bam, 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 bam. And that batch painting method at this scale, I think, is much more efficient way to do things. But yeah, I've got it's also a lot easier to hold. I found like actually holding onto a slab of wood or a strong base is a lot easier than holding on, for instance, this is going to be the base that the models are going to be glued on, and it's a little bit fiddly. But anyway, to each their own. But I would definitely recommend this method to start if you're starting off painting smaller miniatures. So here's some background footage of me going through the vehicles, the bikes and tanks primarily, from when I was doing some painting the other evening. And this method that I also use for the tactical marines as well. And I'll do some close-up of the tactical marine painting after this. So I started off by spraying it black. I decided, using a random number generator, that the Legion I was going to paint for this project were going to be the Iron Hands. And for those of you that don't know, Iron Hands are very tech-orientated, and their colours are black and silver, with a little bit of like grey thrown in as well. So one of the things I did to start things off was I sprayed everything black, and realising that at 8mm scale, contrast is king. There's no room or scope to do subtle blends or building up of colours or anything. You need to have colours and parts of models that really pop. So with the dry brush of a light grey, that really helps bring out a lot of the edges, as I hope you can see. After that, I then go through with a wet brush, and I just pick out bits of the model that I like the look of. So some of the sections and plating I do in grey, like a light grey colour, and then I decided as well to have a bit more contrast on there, that I was going to do all the weapons red. So I think you can see on the rhinos on the top, and I think probably the tactical marines in the top right as well, there's red bolters, and so that's going to be how I'm going to present the weaponry, because if all of the weapons were silver and black on a silver and black model that's quite small, it's going to be a nightmare to tell apart. So I'm really happy with this final result. So here's how I paint all the little marines. Starting off, you can see I've got them all glued onto the bit of wood and sprayed black. I think definitely at this scale you want to spray what your primary colour is going to be. Anyway, we go in with the dry brush with Vallejo Sky Grey, I think it is, and I think in some places here maybe I dry brushed too much, but in hindsight I think this goes back to the idea of contrast is king. So even if I do dry brush a bit too much, I can just go in with a black or a dark grey to tone it down. So dry brushing helps massively in seeing all the little details. Next, after dry brush, we go in for the line work, and this is probably the most tedious part of painting. And as you can see, we're just going with the light grey and just delicate lines on the shoulder pad trim. I decided as well I wanted the same colour on the knee pads, again, just to have that part of the model pop out a bit and be defined. So as soon as this trim is done, we should do a little dot and dot on the knee pads. Now last but by no means least, I'm not the biggest fan of having black bolters on black armour, as even as you can see there on this zoomed in camera. It's really hard to make out those details, but with all the line work done, that's the hardest part finished. Finally we go in with our nice strong bold red colour and give ourselves some defined weaponry that we can see from a distance. And here we have it. All of my Marines painted, just with a dry brush, a little bit of line work, and then the red, well, yeah, line work really. Line work for the shoulder trim, line work for the bolters. That's it. I think as well you could do a little bit more work for the characters, so you can see I did a bit of work for the flags, and I've got some swords I need to finish as well. But all in all, that's it. Here's the army in all of its glory. So, referencing the Imperium Dominatus rules, we have our Legion Tactical Company with upgrade, the Rhinos to transport them, Predator Squadron in the top right, Predator Squadron in the top left, and then in the top middle we have our Outriders. All of this coming together for a total of 2,000 points. So I'm really excited for this project, and I absolutely love the models. What's great as well is the little kind of hits of dopamine I get from having finished a model. Doesn't matter if it's tiny, the thought behind having finished an army in a couple of days, like a 2,000 point army in a couple of days, it feels incredible. Feels absolutely brilliant, and I'm definitely going to keep painting more and more. So what next? What's happening next? Now that the Iron Hands are done, what are we looking for? So what I'm going to do, and I'm kind of started planning already, is a equal in points, a 2,000 point Solar Auxiliary army, or like a militia army. For those of you that don't know what that is, that's the Imperial Guard of the Horus Heresy period. I'm thinking of going for like a combined arms approach with aircraft and artillery, tanks, like the whole 9 yards of what a kind of combined force would be, which it's very difficult to replicate that at the current 28mm game. So when that's done, I'll have 2 armies of 2,000 points each, and we can look at getting a demo game in and really start tearing the rulebook apart for Imperium Dominatus. And that's what I'm most excited for, really. Actually get the games in and see what all the fuss is about. So thank you very much for watching the video. If you have any thoughts, comments, feelings, just chuck them in the comment box down below. I'm really looking forward to seeing this project unfold. I hope you are too. All the best and take care.